And it is my pleasure and honor to invite you to these panel discussions about the supply chain for the semiconductor industry. The whole event is planned in 3 parts, which will be held in 3 different panel discussions regarding the industry as a whole, then investment and development opportunities, and then talent attraction. But we wouldn't be anything without our sponsors or partners, which we greatly appreciate. And one of the biggest helps have been the Ministry of Economics for the Republic of Latvia. And the minister has graciously agreed to open up our discussions with a keynote speech. So I welcome Minister of Economics, Viktors Valains.
Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to be here, and my presence here is as a symbol, as importance, how we see from the Ministry of Economy development of the industry of semiconductors, but we can see in Europe and worldwide, and competitiveness which is now between the countries into this sector, and the possibilities what we can take and what we can have for our economy if we use these opportunities smart is very important for us. So we can see that when was COVID pandemic, we saw how important is that all these supply chains are located somewhere somewhere closer to the customers, to the economies, to the markets, and how big problems are becoming when some small part is missing. Of course, semiconductor was one of the most important, and because of that became of many ideas how can Europe and worldwide how can solve this problem, and all the countries are solving it in different ways. European Union is solving this problem, but I think we in Latvia are moving in right direction, and I like these ideas which is on the table at the moment about how we can step into this into this business. How can we step into this ecosystem? That there is not only semiconductors, there is a lot of things around semiconductors where we can actually show ourselves and show our companies who can step into this business and be very successful. So I wish everybody a very productive conference and a lot of new ideas, and I really believe that this is a part of our next part of our future and our economy growth. So we will support this, and we will work together with the industry to get to go to the next goals. So thank you everybody who is organizing this event today, and you can be sure that we will support this in the future into this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Minister, for the excellent speech. And let's open up these panel discussions with our first panel regarding the semiconductor supply chain industry. So why does it matter? That is the main goal, to understand the importance of it. But before we can actually understand what is the importance of the supply chain to the semiconductor industry, we have to also understand the core premises of what are we talking about. Because what we have gathered at Venture Faculty with regards to market research, talking to market participants, has been the fact that the supply chain is often than not underrepresented or not enough talked about. Within our conversations, we have also clearly understood the fact that we have to build a complete understanding of what the ecosystem itself means. And that's why we have assembled our esteemed panel. Firstly, starting with Bob Iofis, who came here from the US, Silicon Valley, who is a technology director at a VC consulting firm, Silicon Valley of Global Shares. You have Lapkis, who is the development manager at EDF Microelectronics, and Svetlana Lampiga, who is an expert in innovation management at the Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, who is also very, very in touch with the ecosystem, with the market participants. However, before we explore the possibilities and what are the necessities for the market to grow and thrive, we have to go back to the basics. And for that, I would like to give floor to our esteemed colleague, Bob, who will also exemplify what is the semiconductor industry supply chain, so we can understand in metaphoric terms what is in the belly of the microchip itself.
Okay, standing?
No, sit down. It's okay.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Edgar, for introduction. Before any consulting in BC, in my field in semiconductor, I was working for something like 31 years in the mass production of microchips. I was helping to launch many big lines in Japan. At Samsung, I was working on the lines, production lines, Fab 13, 14, 15, a little bit 16, until I got too old to do that. Too challenging, to be honest. Okay, so for most of the people, for most of the regular people, semiconductor industry means microchips, right? So we all saw, most of you saw the microchips on the images, some images, or in real life, from anything, from those who were powerful, most powerful, like 10, 15 years ago, Pentiums, whatever, until current most powerful that are coming CPUs and GPUs, and that's what most people know about semiconductor industry. I just decided to take with me one of the microchips that is similar to what I remember was made in Latvia something like 40 years ago. Not that one. It's not that one because I don't have those, but this is similar. This is a simple logical device, logical element. Okay, so if the microchips can be seen, but the mass production is hidden from normal people. I just exchanged a few words with the Svetlana Lampiga, and she mentioned that she was able to get to TSMC, to Taiwan, some of the facilities where they were able to see production from by webcams. Can I turn it on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Nothing there?
It's on the screen. It's on the screen. It's on the screen behind you. But you can look here.
Okay, got it. Can you open that one?
Mm-hmm.
The first one?
Okay. Yeah, it's open.
No, the first image, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we can hear that. So I decided, as Edgar has mentioned, that for the subject not to be that abstract, we have to visualize first a little bit. So I put some images. Some other images, of course, can be seen on the internet, found anywhere. We see usually people in bunny suits, and those images are kind of for the purpose not to explain, to hide, because first reason is confidentiality. Nobody wants anyone to know what's going on. And another reason is the clean room environment. And that's how I understand that delegation was not able to get to SMC itself. They just don't let anyone in. So this is Endura, thin film deposition tool made by Applied Materials. This is something like 15 years old. The purpose of that thing is to make first one of the main technology step in the microchips production, which is wafer deposition, layers deposition on the silicon wafer. This tool, depending of configuration, is something like between $4 and $20 million. And I just put that, took that image or brought that image for people to see how many components are there. And components are not just the pieces or devices or bolts and nuts. It begins with the materials. Each material here, metal, plastic, everything is special. It's not like metal that can be just physically made and support the chamber. In the center you see this transfer module. On the sides you have process modules. All these things, I mean, from the outside it's in the clean room. Inside where is the wafers, it's exposed to the vacuum. And that's why, for example, metals, they cannot be regular metals. They have to be metals that has minimum absorption of the gases. For example, the air has tons of things that are not good for wafers. I mean, they're good for us, like nitrogen. It is damaging. It comes in reaction with the process gases that are inside the chamber. So that's why the gases that can come from atmosphere have to be minimized. And when, again, if it is exposed to the air normal way, it gets to the vacuum and then it gets outgassing. So vacuum is sucking out everything what is in that gas, starting, for example, nitrogen, which is very, very good bad for microchips. Okay, so I'm just mentioning that materials. But besides materials, there are tons of components. If you can see it, I put my number, something like 250,000 components. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, it could be this, could be more. And again, this is only one step. After that, there comes something else. They're coming even more complex machines like etching, the lithography, etching, and some other methods. And they all have tons of components. And it's expensive, but on the other side, on the other hand, it's not that bad for us. I mean, not for us, but for the industry, because it's a lot of opportunities. Each component is extremely expensive, not like normal. On the left side, by the way, there is a yellow something I see, boxes. Simple, like in any other lab. Nuts, bolts, washers, clamps, all made of special metals, of special materials, plus special design. So those simple things are kind of not rocket science at all. They are mass production things, again, in millions, and they are consumables. All kind of consumables can be made anywhere, and they are in high demand. Okay, to explain how it works, I don't want to do it right now because I have to be kind of more detailed and accurate on that. But what I can do is provide simple and at the same time kind of adequate analogy. We can look at this as a, let's say, food processing machinery. In the food processing, for example, let's say it's a coffee making machine, right? In the coffee making machine, you have components 1, 2, 3, coffee itself, milk, sugar, maybe something else, and you have a recipe. Recipe means you put one component, you have boiling water or something else for a certain time. Then after that time you put milk, you put a certain amount, and you put sugar a certain amount, and so on, so on. So that means recipe. That's how software in the semiconductor industry is named, recipes. So the design of the machinery is built around the recipe. The difference between this one and coffee machine is that you cannot put components ready to go. You cannot take coffee, you cannot take milk, you cannot take sugar. you are taking only molecules of the materials of which, let's say, coffee consists of, milk consists of. You put together molecules taken out of so-called process gases. By the way, this machine is not with the gases. This is a PVD, physical wafer deposition tool, because it's just a little bit simpler. On the chemical wafer deposition tool, you are taking gases that contain molecules that are needed for deposition of the wafers. And the series of these layers deposited on the silicon wafer makes chip after a few more steps like etching and so on. Okay, I don't want to go deeper into this thing. Maybe the first purpose was to visualize a little bit how that looks in reality. And then we have to talk about what can be done besides of making wafers, because now that machine, I mean, I just mentioned between $4 and $20 million, now it can be purchased like $2,000. $2,000 from Samsung. For what? Of course, it won't work without a lot of other things like facilities, vacuum manifolds, and so on, but it can be taken apart, and all the components can be studied. It's not rocket science at all. Vacuum, electrical stuff, heating devices from 400 Celsius to, let's say, close to 0 at Kelvin. Also, vacuum portion of that thing, vacuum pumps from 10-6 torr to some high pressure, like, not very high pressure, by the way, it's not for the wafers. Temperatures in the range between let's say, again, 400 and lower, and all electrical stuff, which not most, I would say. I even know that some of them is being made in Latvia. Like, for example, that MikroTik is doing that net devices for wide area networks. The same thing is used here. Not same, but similar, local area network, because chambers have to talk between each other. So the machine is very, very, how to say, communicative. And it's not only one, there are thousands of them in the fab, and they are talking to each other. Okay, that was my brief.
Okay.
Thank you, Edgar, for reminding me to stop.
Okay, no, you can put it down. Yeah. So what we can basically gather is that the whole process to actually get to a semiconductor industry, semiconductor itself, consists of hundreds of thousands, maybe even more complex parts that work in unison. And in order to get to that point, we need to establish an approach where we understand that it's a much, much larger question than just talking about the end product, which is microchips themselves. So, whilst understanding that, I would like to turn to the rest of the guests of the panel and pose a question with regards to the industry of manufacturing and industry participants that we already have active in the sphere, and that can kind of either lead the way or grow with the huge requirements that such large facilities in, let's say, Germany, France, that will be established, or even Poland. How can we, basically, to ask the question of where are we right now? So I'll ask the question to first to Svetlana, and ask her.
Yes, but we talk a lot sometimes in public places about USA and European Union funding, and nobody remember about Asia. Their leaders, they put a lot of money there too. They have activities in Japan, a lot of money they put in programs. South Korea put a lot of money in these programs. The same is in China, India, Semicon India. And of course, if we are talking about our country, we can go together with European Union, but we need to understand it's very actual topic. We have competence. I can about it. But we need to understand we want to run because everyone is running, or we like the process, or we need the result. And of course, if you have competence, it's like a good health. You can run, but you choose. You run in Olympic Games or in some other competitions. So we need, I think, to analyze our possibilities, because we have competence in different kinds of this industry in very actual topics. For example, photonics is a very strong industry in Latvia, and our universities and institutes have competence in this area. And some initiatives, because it's not only about chips. Photonic chips is actual according to Moore law. Yeah, it's one of the ways where Taiwanese companies looking for now in R&D. But photonics needed for instruments, producing instruments, so we can take place there maybe. Other side, we have very high-level professors in quantum technologies, so we can look in on this side and to advise our competence. We are strong, one of the strongest in the Baltic region in material science. And it's very actual topic in supply chain, for example. In this kind of our competence, we can be useful not only for materials for producing semiconductors, but maybe one of the problems are PFAS materials. It's a very actual topic, so we maybe our competence can be useful there. And we have strong electronics industry. About 10% of the whole our economics is exactly electronics industry. And we have competence in universities and institutes, and some of institutes provide studies in artificial intelligence. So I think that we can take their place, but we just need to analyze where we can take a part.
All right. And with regards to analyzing where to take part and what could be interesting, maybe Dev, can you share your opinions about what are interesting? Because photonics were mentioned previously when we had discussions. Which kind of these directions would be interesting and quite possible for us to pursue?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First of all, we'd like to start with the fact Bob mentioned that Latvia is a really big heritage in the microelectronic industry. As an example, in Latvia in 1962, first mass production of integrated circuit was started, and it is just after invention of first integrated circuit in USA in 58. In 62, we in factory Alpha. They started to produce logical integrated circuit, something similar to what Bob is showing, but with less pins. And by the way, the main designer of that integrated circuit was Yuri Osokin, the father of famous Osokins. Today, so Latvia is having a specific niche in the microelectronic industry, because its microelectronic industry is really broad. What we can, so our company, like we don't have like such great machines that Bob is showing. We are fabless, which means that we are using other foundries. So we design, we have our design, and then we send this design in order to like produce a wafer. We have one company that has capabilities for the wafer production in Latvia. So our company, Alpha Electronics, currently we are fabless. But it doesn't mean that we don't have what to do. It's also a big market, and my idea is what I think that we need to be specialized in development of microelectronics elements, of assembly, of testing, and of course on education. We need to educate engineers, we need to prepare them, because we need those people who will be doing that afterwards. But what I think that we need to work on markets with a high added value. As an example, like my position is a business development manager in a space department. Main clients are space companies, so it's the highest added value integrated circuits. So, and it's really hard to enter this market, but when you are there, you will be there for many years. Like as an example, with company Stella Selenia, we are negotiating for like more than 5 years to get there. So we need like more than 2 years for the qualification. And if something happened to supply chain, so we have qualified integrated circuit using European Space Agency funds, and I know that in some years there will be end of life of the foundry process, and it's a problem for us that we will need to requalify it. So it's a hard market, and we are very much dependent on the supply chain. But I think for such small company, such a country, it's important to focus on high added value integrated circuits. Radiation hardened is also we have really good experience spin-off from Latvian Solid State Physics Institute Cell Box Labs. They're doing organ on chips for parts. It's novel integrated circuit when you can use for laboratory testing. You don't need for drug testing. So if you have a very rare disease, you don't need to try it on live humans. You just take cells of a body, put them in an integrated circuit, put them in a machine, and it tests real medicine on a real cell body. So it is a future that Latvia needs to be involved in.
All right. So picking possible industries within which we can enter and we can stay in. But in order to actually achieve that, one of the questions often then arises: what are the challenges to actually do that? Because currently, even though the idea is quite popular to enter such markets, you mentioned such aspects as that we need to educate engineers, we need to increase the amount of experts in the field. But what else are kind of the barriers to entry that, like, businesses that would like to, let's say, begin such a production or even go in that direction? What are kind of the challenges to actually enter it and do it?
Well, when we are talking about challenges, we need to talk about our possibilities too. But a little point about talents may be that it's not so hard to find talents and to educate, but it's very hard to motivate to go and study these professions. But if we are talking about business, not only about talents, of course, talents are actual term in different industries. Of course, infrastructure. All companies need good facilities. And if we are talking about Latvia, of course, not all companies can produce, they don't have capacities for being world leaders. And of course, maybe some fundings for renewing these facilities can be useful for the company. The other one, energy costs. For example, in Taiwan, there are some supports from the government, so they can use energy in different prices or in different kind of funding. And as we know, maybe Lev will agree, when I was talking with our other Alpha company, they need a lot of energy. And it will be one of the main topics for our maybe government. I don't know, to support our producers for this.
Yeah, of course, energy is a big topic for Alpha Air Power. It's important because they have a foundry, and after this machine, it's needed a lot of energy and gases and so on. So what I see, so first of all, if you're talking about a new company like startup, of course, the startup can start as a design. For enter the design market, it's you need to be educated, you need to have special software, and then you agree with the foundry, they produce a wafer for you, and then you agree with assembly company, testing company, and so on. So currently, it's possible to start your business just after university. You have a good idea of some microchip, and it's possible. So many years ago, it was not possible because you were to be like Texas Instrument or Fairchild in order to make it. But right now, you can can be a small startup. And then you need to have good subcontractors. Of course, there will be a problem that is very important in the microelectronic industry. It's lead time for everything, starting with gases, packages, materials, like half a year. It's very fast. And if you're a startup that wants to print a wafer, okay, good luck. Because first of all, you need like several iterations of wafer between you will have like good engineering prototype. But for a company that is working for a long time on the market, geopolitical situation, that world is changing. You had your good suppliers, some end users. Okay, some's changed, as we know, like war in Ukraine. Okay, you don't have access to some kind of supply chain, and what to do? And if it was qualified for the usage, and if your like machine was keen to this material, not to other material, it will not work anymore. You need to change the complete cycle. It's like we need to be. From the one point, we want to be a global, but right now we understand that we need to be independent, region independent, and like why we are here. It's first of all because European non-dependency. That from as I know, for more than 10 years we're talking about this. That we need non-dependent. Sorry, Bob, but you say also Europe is talking about this. That Europe needs to be independent from USA because like my clients, why they're looking on to the RD Alpha Electronics, we are producing equivalents to USA parts, but they would prefer us because we are based in European Union. To others, so price, of course, is important. So if it's competitive price, then yes.
All right, so they're both challenges and opportunities. And talking about opportunities, I would like to turn to Bob. And within the conversations and within the ideas where you talked about the film deposition and what it takes to make coffee, like in a semiconductors type of way, I would like to ask, maybe you can suggest, and as Dev also pointed out, that the supply chain, if it goes bust and if there's really nothing to go towards to, it's very challenging for either large manufacturers or even startups to even start out. So my question to you would be, maybe you can mention some examples within which there would be possibilities to kind of start and go towards some specific areas with regards to helping the industry itself.
Yes, perfect question. That's what I wanted. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. When we just started talking about the energy, and Lev mentioned about this tool. When I spoke, I only wanted to show the tool as a possibility to see components. I was not going to talk about mass production of microchips themselves. It's prohibitively expensive. Any fab starts from $5 billion. So the sample was not to show how to make microchips. It was only to show what are the components, materials, and so on. The one that is, I would say, answering Edgar's question, my favorite would be process gases. Why? Because they are very return of investment high, easy to make, expensive to sell. I mean, the price is high, demand is huge, the consumption is always like that. And I was thinking when I was initially thinking about this entire event, what components can be done, I was thinking something to put as my priority. Another one is less priority, and so on. The reason I put it that way because it was only based on my understanding of my knowledge, not knowledge, I mean my thinking, what Latvia industry can do in general, and that is based on my knowledge like 30 years ago. I could be absolutely wrong. But when I spoke about, when I put the gases in this number one position, I remember there was some fabs like in Norway. I even know, I knew that they were making gases. For example, argon. Simple thing, neutral gas, huge demand. And I don't know if they're doing that now, number one question. Let's say they do it now. If that qualifies or meets the SEMI standards, I have no idea. If yes, then that's fine. Easy to think about how to get quotes from European Union for this upcoming double or triple mass production that is being built in Germany, in Poland. I know it's even Spain. That would be kind of first question: how to get those quotes. Otherwise, they have to compete. If they can compete with the German giants like BAS, who is making most of the gases right now for this, I don't know if they can do it. But in our case, in my mind, the task is a little bit simpler. Because if we do have, let's say, if Latvia will have, let's say, 10% or 1% of quote on the amount that is needed, that means this competition is not immediate. Not right now. If they don't make gas that match the SEMI standards, then the question would be, what is needed to do it? So let's say they have a reactor like this one today, and they say between that one and another one that will make gas with the higher purity, it will be needed another reactor. Say another $500,000 or something like that, plus facilities, plus engineers and so on. And with that, we can match our product with the SEMI standards. That's how I could envision that this thing could be developed. And that was my item number one. Maybe wrong. Again, I'm not insisting on anything because maybe there is no all in it at all. I don't know. And so on. I don't want to go on each item of this. Second was materials. Simple materials. I don't know if the metal is metal components production is in Latvia. Something about this right now. I don't know the plans or the names of those, but if it is, can be done easily. Just find the material. If it's metal, specific alloy. If you don't do it itself, it's easy to buy, and to make devices or make parts of this kind of metal is nothing close to rocket science. Can be done. And so on. I want to discuss with other people who know much better about the Latvian industry than me. Not semiconductor industry, because semiconductor industry is, again, in my mind, prohibitive. Cannot be done yet. But components could be.
So there is a possibility to kind of help the large semiconductor industry, which is estimated at $900 billion US, and that requires around 250,000 components or basically bill of materials. So basically what we're looking at currently is also, firstly, what Lev kind of pointed out, that there's this possibility for a specialized technology with regards to what Cellbox Labs is already doing, and also there are possibilities for sometimes even traditional type of companies with which work either in gas production or even clothing to kind of pivot to the supply chain itself. Therefore, kind of creating this hub that can either export, and as also Svetlana mentioned, that work with large manufacturing facilities and participate in procurements and etc. But so to understand that, we have to kind of understand also how to support it, how to help it out. And now I would like to turn to Lev and maybe Sedlan of thinking of you previously mentioned about the energy costs. Within either your experience or talking to the ecosystem, what have been kind of one main concerns with regards to maybe trying out something new, but maybe being kind of a bit old-fashioned or resistant to do it?
You can repeat the question.
Yeah. So in short, the question is, if there is such a possibility, right? What do you think would help out businesses that are in the ecosystem to go forward and pursue it? Either it's subsidies, tax incentives, or something like that.
Well, when I am talking with companies that not always say we need money. Usually they say that they need clients. And the problem for our semiconductor industry, it's small but existing ecosystem. They are not global companies, they are local companies. And now when this topic is very actual, not everyone in the world, in Europe, knows about our companies. I think that the main reason why they are not so big and they can't grow at the moment, some geopolitical problems, yes, and some markets was closed. And of course, if you for example, to say to Taiwanese companies, you know, tomorrow you can't work with USA. It's not so easy to find new market. Nobody will wait for you. And when you need to find new clients, you need to provide more information, but the market not so open for new representatives in this area. So I think that maybe not always subsidies. Subsidies will be, of course, the great way to help them. And there are not so many companies who exactly in semiconductor industries. But maybe exactly energy can be one of the way where maybe we can support or try to advise some ways how to help in these questions. Maybe, I don't know, some solar panels or because it needs to be green energy in the future.
Yeah, I would like to agree, Svetlana. The main problem is clients. First of all, I would like to state that electronic industry is very conservative, and if we can provide them with better, the same part but better price, faster lead time, they will do a lot of qualification tests before they switch to it, because microelectronics components, it's the smallest iteration parts, and it's like nails to build a house, and you need to be sure that they're a good one. And if you were using them for other provider for 10 years, you don't want to change it unless you have big problems, and that's why to enter to a new client, it's a problem. Secondly, if we are producing, like our company, we are specialized in operational amplifier comparators, some transceivers, so we cannot never produce processors, memory, I don't know what photonic parts, so we don't have any expertise. It's not possible. We don't have like tools that are needed, so we are like we have our market niche where we can move.
Yeah, and one more comment. One of the problems, what I was identified, maybe when I was talking with industry, usually when you apply to the grants for buying new equipment, you need to buy new equipment.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems. And of course, it's very expensive. But sometimes if it's this equipment not so old, but not so old that in company and better than they have, maybe we can change some rules for applying to these grants, and this amount of funds will be smallest, and they can buy more equipments or better equipments, and it will be one of the possibility to have maybe in European Union. I don't know how to provide it. But maybe there can be some initiatives to make some changes in country level, in European Union level, so it will be helpful, I think.
Yeah, it's because on a European Commission level, so yeah, we are usually, but we're buying some equipment, we're buying it refurbished. It's like good equipment that was sold, I don't know, in Europe, maybe ST Microelectronics, then refurbished by some company in Erfurt, and then we buy it from them, but it's like 20-year-old equipment. It's looking good, it's working as we need it, but yeah, so like, but it's not new according to the law.
All right. And to kind of sum up what we have already heard, we've heard about the possibilities of both approaching specific industries with regards to technology, and we have also understood the kind of the scope of the possibilities that we see, because we see that there is a vast amount of businesses that can be either started or already existing businesses already pivoting to the supply chain and aiding. But however, we need to kind of firstly aid, as already mentioned, aid within the process of either attracting new clients, aiding within the production process of the components themselves, and also aid within the whole position that Latvia in itself is interested. So we can already push out case studies that will be considered. So with that, I would like to thank all of the speakers for their recommendations, and also I would like to note that after the panel discussion cycle has ended, we will create a summary of the main points discussed here as recommendations. So I would like to ask, join me in applauding the panelists, and also announce a 20-minute break where we can get coffee and some refreshments whilst we prepare for the next panel. Thank you very much.
Yep, so ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to start. Our next session will be related more about investments, more about financing, where we can get real investments to the projects, to the opportunities and competences and possibilities which we have in Latvia already. I will guide this panel discussion. My name is Denis Chamovs and I represent Investment and Development Agency of Latvia. Main task is to attract investments to our country. And I'm very honored that our panelists will be Renat Lokomet, strategic partner at Venture Faculty, Matis Neimans, managing partner at Build IT, and Anton is going to be online, right? In some while. Yeah. So we hope he will join very. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's Anton. Partner at Commercialization Reactor, and yeah, so a lot of opportunities, a lot of talks about semiconductor industry, and interesting facts that according to McKinsey report, globally companies plan to invest about $1 trillion, which mostly will be in Asia and the US, but still plenty of opportunities to the European Union itself. And as per my experience, the most crucial part for the investors to come to Latvia to really invest into the companies, they're looking in the three crucial factors, which is talent pool, infrastructure, and business environment. And a lot of things we are done already, but maybe I can ask our panelists. Renat, maybe what do you think? Is Latvia in a good position in terms of attract foreign direct investment and attract global companies to help our local competences and to develop this industry?
Yes. So we're always in a good position. For sure, we could be in a better position. But as for Latvian companies, is always good to go abroad and to find the opportunities there and to bring them back to home. I see what as was described by Bob. So it's 250,000 different materials are used in the supply chain of semiconductor industry. So for my understanding, it's 250,000 startups what can be created and who can attract money and to sell globally. So a lot of opportunities for Latvian companies to be part of this supply chain. And my feeling, if companies who will attract the money, it's not a problem to do it if they will understand how they will sell it. The most crucial part of any company is to sell a product and to have a product. Currently in Latvia, we have a private money, we have money for like institutional money from Altum, LIA, we have European funds, we already have funds allocated from startups, and we understand what money is not a problem. Problem is good ideas and talented people who will develop the companies and will sell the products.
Thank you. And second problem, which is always raised also by the investors who might come in and help our ecosystem, our startups, our companies which are here, is that it's good to have innovation, but we should understand also how our talents, how our people here can really spin off all of this, commercialize, and for instance, our scientists already hold Guinness records in the semiconductor industry related to silicon chip in terms of data transmission. So we already have beaten global players in the lab, which is the truth, but it's a very different story how we can build and how we can compete with global companies on the market. Because lab is one story, R&D is one story, but to understand how you can earn money on that, without this understanding, unfortunately, investors will not join this journey. And we have plenty of programs in terms of how we can support our science, commercialization reactors, programs, etc., etc. And I would like to guide maybe
It's part of semiconductor industry, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Now maybe it's working. Yeah, so my next question maybe could be to Matis. We have already kind of a lot of instruments how to help science to commercialize, how to help entrepreneurs to get those investments from the market. Maybe you can share your insights from your perspective. Where are we now, and what are the trends in terms of startups? Is it interest from the industry, maybe in semiconductor industry, or we need to influence that? Thank you.
Yes. Hello. Yeah. Okay, so a few words about the Build It. So because there are some topics where I have some experience, and there are maybe some questions where I will keep silent because I think there are other people much more experienced than I am. So Build It, we are early stage VC fund, and usually we invest in hardware related solutions. So as you see, there are room for improvements. So as you saw, some mics sometimes are not working. So usually there are some improvements. So, and if we talk about early stage, so what do we understand with early stage so that we would be on the same page? In our environment, we understand early stage that in the team can put some kind of prototype on the table. So they say that that product will look something like that. So we have to improve a little bit. So we have to add something. Maybe we have to remove, we have to do some tests, laboratory tests, whatever, to validate, is there a market for that thing? So, and usually, so for these activities, you need as much as you can get, but let's say with some 50, 100K, 100,000 euros, you can do a lot of things. So you can get to the next level where some other investors who are investing much more, that you can already get much closer to the client so that they would talk to you, so that they would see that, yes, the device is working, so more or less. So, and at this point, I would say that it always can be better. And there is other saying that the grass is greener on the other side. But what the reality shows, for instance, in the Build It, and also I know other funds have the same experience. There are not only local people who are approaching these investors, but for some reasons, people from other countries are coming here. So it means if you are comparing Latvia to even Estonia, Finland, then of course India and other countries. So they are coming here because the whole environment is nice enough, good enough to start your company. Then it's a question what happens later. But initially, there are a lot of support instruments. And I also agree that always there can be more money, more support instruments, and then of course sometimes there is one program open, you can get some money, and then 2 years nothing happens and all bad, of course. But these are the details. In general, there are enough money, and as said, money is not a problem. Again, a very loud statement, but I can agree. Money is not a problem. Depends about how much money we are talking. So Latvian Investment Development Agency, Altum, so some other organizations, they're offering a lot of good instruments. So also Anton, he disappeared. Okay, so most probably he'll tell more about the universities. So in every university there is incubator, there is accelerators. I would say it's a very good environment to be.
Yep. So maybe we could also give a word to Anton about, are we already fully packaged to help our local startups, our local companies, and those who want to enter semiconductor industry with the financial opportunities to receive? We have startup law with startup support. We have possibility to receive directly for you funds. We have special economic zones. We have even salary co-financing for startups. We have a lot of things, Altum programs, Investment and Development Agency of Latvia programs, but very, very deep forest of everything. But maybe you can give your insights as well. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. Shall I be politically correct or truthful to myself? I believe we're here to share our internal understanding of this whole process. And I would say that in our case, we as I see the development of science commercialization environment, the deep tech startup ecosystem, that we are entering quite turbulent times right now in Latvia because of, as I see from the programs that are available or not available, the current setting doesn't allow the talent who is willing to enter the whole science commercialization kind of an endeavor to have a clear road for him how he is going to develop the company in terms of also including financial opportunities. So what I'm here trying to say is that we're talking about quite a tough and competitive market with trillions actually already being poured into it. And as also Renat mentioned a little moment ago, another trillion plus is coming in. So other players are understanding what they are betting on, and big countries, they have selected already and can select which part of the food chain, let's say, which part of the supply chain they are in. In our case, we also need to be very specific. And if talking about where we invite people to contribute in this particular domain, to have to bring them certainty. And currently examining also the financial instruments in the past 6 months through another interesting hat I have as EIT community officer, where my job is also to examine and give feedback on European level. I would say we're in a quite turbulent time. So some restructurization has to happen. And I know that Investment and Development Agency is now in process of it, but we need to be more proactive in this case with more early stage capital available for specifically tough domains like that. And nobody, I believe, would argue that semiconductor industry and any other deep tech related discipline requires more capital than software and etc., especially if we're talking moving from TRL 4 to 9, which according to the information I've been digging for the past several years, is anywhere from 500,000 till 2.5 to launch your first product. We are not in the best shape right now, but there definitely we are in position, also referring to Renat, but it can be improved. So yeah, does this answer the question, or shall I elaborate a bit more on specific aspects of it?
Improved in terms of increasing the information to the people to use all the programs, all the opportunities. And
let me add to this just a few comments. For example, we lack co-financing instruments for startups to prototype their very first product. This is a well-known statement, which also was discussed this year in May during Deep Tech Atelier roundtable discussions with ministries and different government stakeholders. So we are currently with Commercialization Reactor and other ecosystem stakeholders in process of thinking how to, not just thinking, but proposing action plans how to resolve this, because we are in competitive market, and we need to obviously remember that we have Estonia and Lithuania just next to us, who are doing quite interesting efforts with inviting plug and play in Lithuania, with efforts in Estonia that have those processes better and better streamlined every year. So it's not only about making things better, it's about being competitive and providing talent with understandable roadmap of how they can flourish from the place they are from. So in our case, as being from Latvia, that's important.
I agree with Anton. What we need to find the verticals, what for us as a private investors, as a fund, and for the government will be clear what kind of startups we are looking and what kind of vertical we want to bring here to Latvia, because from this huge amount of companies what can be set up here in Latvia, so we can't open the door for everybody. We need to find the specialization. Because
Exactly.
Anton is making the first commercialization. Build it can make give the first tranches for the startups, and we as a private capital or venture capital can provide the extra funds. But we also need to have our expertise and to understand how government will support it, and how talent will, what kind of talent can come to here, and what exactly they will do.
And why should they choose Latvia over somewhere else?
Yes, global competition now in Europe, it's huge. So everybody looking opportunity to take a part of this like a European Chip Act, and from this production what will appear in Europe soon. So, and we are only one of 28 countries in Europe who just want to be part of this market, and we need to understand what exactly we are looking.
Yeah, and just to add, truly there is a crucial need to understand what is the goal, where we are going, because we are part of the European Union. We have the opportunity to use CHIP Act as well. We have plenty of private investors, of course, always in the region, lack of deep tech investors, which is there as well. But we should understand also, as in the past, we were mostly exporting in a different niche, and which means that the supply chain of semiconductor industry is also very long, and we should understand where exactly we are going. That's why also government ordered different kind of research to understand what are our companies there which are doing already something related to semiconductor industry, which are our competences there, and now we have more information, and now we are open to do more things to encourage existing companies and new startups, new ideas and innovations to get there. So
yeah, I wanted really to add on this while you mentioned this, that indeed one of the first things we need to do is to have everybody on the same page about the competence map of Latvia, historic competence in the specific domain, so we could understand where are our strengths and play to those, but in order to understand also our part in the supply chain better.
Yeah, exactly. And there is also an opinion that to help our country to be part of this big supply chain, we could attract maybe one key big global investor, one big partner that already knows all the details on this supply chain. That could help us. Maybe Renat could comment. What could be our strategy? Can we do all the things by our own investments, taking that private investment is there, governmental support is there, and we just need to find this focus to guide our local talent and competence, or we still need some external help in terms of to have this big investor partner which will help us as a country.
So, it's a dream what Intel will come to here, but the reality is showing what possibility, like probability is very low. We are a small country. We need to make a very good incentive to Intel to be part of to set up the factory here. I think we need to understand what our powers are, what we can propose to the medium players, not for the biggest one, and then to try to attack them. Maybe it's work of government to open the doors for the huge players, but for the private investors, so we are more concentrating on the real things and real investors, what can be done.
Yeah. So next question as well, I would like to guide to all of the panelists and ask whether we have those areas, kind of understand our strong points of the Baltic states, of the ecosystem, of the companies which are already there. Maybe you could advise what could be done more, which are the challenges in that, so we can help to connect the investors and our talents, our ecosystem, which are already here, and develop even more. Any ideas? Yeah, Matthew, thank you.
Most probably we could do 101 thing, but there are only a few what I would like to point out from our experience. So previous speakers also mentioned that talent. So that the talent is the one of the main persons. So you can have as much money you want, if no one will be here. So what you will do with this money? So when one challenge is for the people who are coming from not outside EU, so they would like to live here. It's not very easy for them to settle here up. So there are some challenges. So, and one of the challenges is that sometimes you have to fill in the documents in the national language. So, not always they're very fluent in Latvian. So, for instance, in other countries, Latvia is neighboring with, so you can submit documents in English. So, a very small detail. So, but actually, it can play a role for the persons coming from, for instance, from India. So, where they will live for the next years. And for them, Latvia, Estonia, it's the size of one of their village. So they don't care at all in which side of the border they will live. So, and then, yes, all these, there are a lot of small such details. So, and they can influence the persons where they will live for the next 10 years, who knows. So this is, I would say, it doesn't matter about which industry we talk, so the talents, so this is one of the most important things. So, and also, in our experience, I like to work with the people from the eastern part of the world, so India, so these countries, because in positive meaning, they're very hungry. So they're ready to work a lot. So not, as I mean, 24/7, but they know that they have to work hard. Nothing will be for free in this world. And if they will be too lazy, someone else will work a little bit more, will be a little bit more effective. And for instance, in our experience, we in 2016, 2017, we were running the program for the startups. And we invited the teams to be in our office and to meet our mentors. And there were teams from western part of Latvia. And they said, we have to travel over 2 hours from one of the cities in the western part, so it's so far. And then there were people from India who came here, I don't know, 48 hours, so who knows from where, to Latvia. So for them it was, it's okay. So they offered us an investment, so we had to be in Riga. It takes only 48 hours and we are here in Riga. So where's the problem? So that's why, and then and that's very good, so that such people are living among us, so then everyone else also in this room feels, okay, there is some competition. So it's not enough that you are just citizen of the country. So that's why everyone will give you some investments for free, whatever. So you have to fight for the things. So there is a competition in a positive meaning. So I would point out that the talents is the most important thing, and to make the whole system much easier for these talents to come here. That's it from my side.
Yeah, maybe I will add what talents from abroad is good, but also education. So education, we see what the technical profession is in TU and different in other universities are not so demanded. And we think also in the school, so we need to increase the level of mathematics and physics and different kind of science, what can help us to compare our talents, our kids to grow, to be professional and to compete with this world.
Yeah. To comment from my side, what government already is doing, implementing some special green channel that will make the opportunity to attract highly qualified workforce easier and faster as it was before. We are in direct communication with the migration office, with all related parties, to be more competitive, because we understand that it's about competition between the countries, right, to make it happen. If it's a young guy with an idea, or it's a company, they're not looking just at Latvia, they're looking for many other countries to evaluate either they want to come here or not. And if it becomes a bureaucratic nightmare to do that with a lot of obstacles, most likely they will not land here. But that could support, of course, our local ecosystems to develop more fast. And yeah, and also we have still plenty of existing companies that can develop, and then which can be helped. And from our perspective, also competition in terms of governmental support is also very tough. If you look in the European Union perspective, competition there also is big. And if we talk about the talent itself, we don't have quantity, right? We don't have that much, but we have quality. We can see by different kind of companies which are functioning here. They're export champions in different niche, and maybe we can just support them existing ones, and yeah, and to attract even more. So what else I would like to ask in this regard could be is it enough that we already have in terms of opportunities here for our local companies, or you think we still need to attract those like highly those talents and investments and do something additionally, or situation is quite enough good at the moment?
I guess if anyone would say, yes, the situation is good enough, then
Yeah.
what are we doing here then? All good. So, as I said, talents, so this is real pain for everyone, for mature companies and for startups, because for startups, they have very limited resources to keep these talents in their companies. So about the talents, the situation is not good at all. So what I can say about the money, so on early stage, yes, the money is not a problem. If you want to raise, I don't know, 200 millions, then I don't think so you will be able to find them in Latvia. But if about early stage investments, there is a lot of money. So, and yes, for starting from the next year or end of this year, so there will be 3 new VC funds in Latvia, very rough numbers. So altogether, they're going to invest around 50, 60 millions during the next 4 or 5 years. So indeed, at that moment, money will not be a problem. So there will be a challenge for these 3 VC funds to find good enough startups from this region. I'm not even talking about Latvia. So Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Finland, Sweden.
Maybe I will add also we need the stability of our tax system, because just today we received new information about changes in tax reform. So if I'm coming from abroad and would like to set up a business here, so every 2 years I need to evaluate the tax situation. So like it's maybe not for LIA, but Minister of Economy and Minister of Finance. So it's like we need to have a stability and need to give a signal to the world that we have a stable tax system, we have a stable immigration system, and everything is working.
Yep. In terms of talents, it's a problem on the European level. We could say if we had the opportunity during the 5G forum to speak in the investment roundtable with the biggest semiconductor players from Europe as well, Siemens, CDA, etc. And they told us that even in Germany, to make the profession like engineer popular now, it's getting very tough. Just because young guys, they just don't want to evaluate this. They just don't see that it could be really a good place where to be, because of also a bit of lack of understanding and marketing, that engineering could be also related for some high tech, for some semiconductor industry, and they even see this problem on the, let's say, German level as well. So it's more about governmental advertisement, how to make it popular as well. Yeah, but still, on a positive note, we have still a lot of things to offer to any company or entrepreneur who is willing to face new challenges and to become a part of the semiconductor industry. And not only if we talk the standard ways of factory to make here, which could be a really huge, in my opinion, as well, challenge, because it needs a lot of people, it needs billions of investments, and it's very difficult to make it happen. But different kind of other industries, which were talked before, it could be fabless industry, where IT companies can also be part of this semiconductor topic by outsourcing different kind of things for those factories as well, and giving teams that are already here to increase their competence and teach them and really become part of all of this system. So I think we're running a bit of time. So at this point, I would like to say a big thank you to the panelists for this discussion. Yep, and move forward. And we will have another break, right? 10-minute break. 10-minute break we'll have to have a coffee and then get back to here. Thanks.
Is the panel discussion on attraction on talent to the Latvian semiconductor supply chain industry. I'm very pleased to see those who still have stayed. And thank you also for the panelists before when you warmed up our discussion. What we heard was actually that maybe at some point money is not a problem, but talent and customers are. So we will try to discuss at least one of these issues. And I think we all together bring quite extensive experience in talent attraction, retention, employee brand development, and also organizational culture and people development methods, strategies, and we will share together what we can share. And I'm very honored to have so professional experts here. And I will also ask you shortly to introduce yourself and also to explain what you bring to this discussion. And basically, we will talk about three topics: about current talent landscape, what was already warmed up. And we will also share our proposals on education and skill development initiatives, and also compensation and motivational strategies. What was also already mentioned, that it is a very crucial. Okay, to open up, yes, please share what experience you bring to this discussion and what you see as key challenges from your perspective in this talent landscape. Eva, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eva Kondratova, and I'm a country manager for recruitment agency Alliance for Recruitment. I think that I was invited to join the discussion because obviously we work with local and international companies, but we also focus quite a bit on investors coming to Latvia, establishing new entities, opening factories. We do have quite extensive experience in supporting these companies, respectively finding people in local markets and bringing talents from abroad where there is a talent gap. So I will be able to tell more about our experience in this extent and share what problems we see and what solutions we think that might help to support the market and the industry in terms of talent gap.
Okay, Inga, please.
Hello, my name is Inga Azara. I represent executive search company Pedersen and Partners. And we work locally, regionally, and globally as well, attracting, retaining, and helping businesses to hire the best leadership talent and expert talent as well. So what we have noticed that, of course, there are talent challenges locally, but speaking with colleagues globally, as we have 50 offices across the globe, and we collaborate with colleagues globally on executive searches, that it's not just Latvian challenge or Baltics challenge in terms of some specialized talent, especially in semiconductor supply chain industry. So I'll be able to share both local, regional, and global experience and practices, how others are doing that, where do we succeed, and where we can learn from colleagues globally.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katja Leidmane, and I am representing HR and communication consultancy company Erda. We are working in HR consultancy in Latvia since 2014, having really broad scope of services for companies here locally and in the Baltics. Simultaneously, we are involved in quite a lot of research as to the labor market. And every year for the last 4 years in a row, we help state employment agency to organize a conference which is called Future of Jobs, where we need to be on top of what is happening in the labor market and what the prognoses are. At the same time, we are the coordinator, or my colleagues are the coordinators for Latvian Educational Accelerator, which is an initiative by World Economic Forum that helps different countries to accelerate situation or gaps with education that we have. And here I will be able to share probably what our government, together with the businesses and the World Economic Forum, does.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Maybe, Katja, you can continue and also explain what is your observation on key challenges and actually where to start.
Yeah, exactly. I can do that, and I probably need to elaborate a little bit on what Inga started to talk about, that the challenge is not actually for Latvia isolated. When we speak about the European Union or European countries, the prognosis for the lack of talent in 2030 in the semiconductor industry is actually quite frightening. Yeah, they say that 350,000 people will be lacking in the industry. Yeah? And I'm not talking now about what the first panel discussed, that we actually can do a lot more than just specifically semiconductors. But if we're talking about the semiconductor industry, then there is a lack of talent in Europe overall. If we talk about Latvia, then the situation is also, unfortunately, not very bright. If we look at the data 2022, the graduates of the bachelor programs in Latvia, only 22% are graduated in STEM. So 78% is social sciences, humanities, commerce, yeah, but not STEM. So what is going on at the moment, and some of the speakers today referred to the heritage that we have historically in Latvia in the industry, which is great and great for communication and for the elaboration on the topic when we want to communicate this widely, but this is history. Yeah, if we look at what is going on currently, then again, by the prognosis of the Ministry of Economics of Latvia, in 2030 we will be lacking around 9,000 people in STEM. We will be lacking 70,000 people in general professional education, if we're talking about factories, production, like not higher education, but professional education that supplies people to actually work in those factories. And we will have surplus of people who graduated humanities, social science by around 30,000. So these figures is something that we need to, I think a lot about and see what we can do currently to stimulate the school children of today to go and consider the professions that are not considered now. So this is something. As if I need to propose a challenge, here is the challenge.
It is, yeah.
But
okay.
we'll talk probably about the solutions later.
Yeah, I think this was also mentioned before, and actually it is the biggest challenge, and still we have to also work with what we have right now. And of course, it's about developing existing talent, what we have, to keeping, maintaining. Also, our local people are quite attractive and maybe are willing also to get this experience outside. And that's we have to develop new ones. We also need to retain existing, and maybe it is also a good way to think how to attract foreigners to our country, what also was discussed as one option. So please, Inga, I see that you have something to add.
Yeah, I'd like to add to the challenge, as Katja mentioned the numbers of research locally here in Latvia and across Europe as well. However, obviously other countries which are outside of Europe, which are hubs of semiconductor industry, they're not sleeping as well, and they have done their researches as well. So a couple of days ago, I spoke with my colleague from Taiwan and also with colleague from Singapore and India, preparing to this conversation. What they said that obviously in their countries, they have done researches as well, and they are looking at talents outside of their geographies because they have assessed that in their countries, in their regions, they are lacking already the talents there. And the challenge that I would like to propose is obviously our talent is and will be attracted to move, to cross the borders and go to work abroad, which they already do with themselves or with the help of headhunters or recruiters. But also there is something that we can learn from other regions and other countries, how they are attracting, retaining talent and what they are proposing. As there was in the previous panel already mentioned that how do we develop succession plans or development plans for the talent within the business. That I see that in Latvia we are still lacking slightly behind, or across Baltics as well, in comparison with other regions with more developed countries where especially hubs of semiconductor industry companies are located.
Okay, Eva.
I would like to add a little bit. I completely agree to what you said, Inga, because we also have worked with different companies around Europe, outside Europe, and we see exactly the same thing. You know, that we are lacking behind. Sometimes we don't know how to retain the talent. Sometimes we don't have the means to retain the talent. But as of the challenges, we believe in Alliance for Recruitment, one of the biggest challenges is actually our educational system that doesn't take care of the school children. It doesn't create enough interest for the school children at the time needed. Because we know that in Latvia, after the 9th grade, you have to choose which direction are you going to continue your studies in. And I think that the 9th grade or even maybe 8th grade is the time when we actually have to adjust educational system. We have to talk to children. We have to educate parents, because it's not just about children. It's actually also about the parents. And we discussed previously that we know that in families where one of the parents is related to the industry of STEM sciences, it is very highly possible that the children will continue in the same footsteps. But in the families where none of the parents are related to the industry, it's very unlikely that those children will continue in those in STEM industry. So I think we have to think at the very beginning, very core of the problem, and then we probably also having in mind the same problem. So we would have a couple of problems on our hands, but I think that's the core problem that we have to deal with.
Yeah, it's really, we have to really see the ecosystem as a whole and not only current job market, it's for sure.
Yeah, I probably need to add a little bit to that about the school children and their choices. When conversation with the World Economic Forum about where we need to accelerate with our education. And there were many proposals or many thoughts by the organizers that probably we need to do better at the higher education level. But then after the assessment was made by World Economic Forum, they said exactly what you just said, Eva. It is school. It is the moment when the choice is made by the students. And now, after more than half a year of researching and studying this situation, what we see is that kids or teenagers, they really have very little information, and the career consultants that work at school, they have very little information on what is going on with the labor market. That's why the Latvian Education Accelerator that we are a part of, they what we do is we now, in cooperation with some both Ministry of Education and Ministry of Economics, but also with the business partners, which the biggest business partners for us are Accenture and Swedbank, we defined the 5 opportunities how we can enhance this choice and support this correct choice at the schools. And there are several, these five possibilities actually that we are working on. And one of them is regular communication to the career consultants at school about what the labor market is, regular surveys of the school children about their choices and about their awareness of what are the companies that will hire when they finish their education, visits of the companies to schools and vice versa, and also the internships for the teenagers. And I know that usually with the business, when we talk about it, internships is a burden. Yeah, I need to bring these kids, I need to develop the program for them and so on. But one of the things is that we are all in this together, and we need to make the effort for the pupil to know what to choose. So what I want to say, like a little bit minimizing the challenge there, that there are many initiatives started already, and there are many forces that come together, and I invite everyone to join the accelerator to bring more initiatives that will help to solve the situation.
Yeah, and previously we also heard that there is still no this clear competency map, what is needed, what is existing. So actually it is at this moment not so clear the gap of skills, and usually only from that we can also define clear strategies and be more concrete. Still, I'm sure you have some good examples what to share also, how to develop skills and some good initiatives, what you have observed. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to add or build on what Katya said as to, of course, it starts, and what Eva said, it starts at school, educating school children. However, if we have educated school children and promoted the beautiness of profession, and career consultants are educated, and there are internships, etc., what's the next step? As indeed, unfortunately, in Latvia and in Baltics, there are no really strong specialized programs in semiconductor chain, supply chain industry in universities. For example, in Taiwan, there are 5 core universities where they have strong programs of semiconductor supply chain education. In Netherlands, there are 3 universities who have really strong core programs in this space. So one of the things, if there is something to take from this, at least if we don't have this specialized education currently in the country, and there is no professor who can develop the program, we can help hire the professor from Taiwan, from one of the schools, from one of the universities, bring them here, help us develop the program, and then integrate this learning into university, so that when school children are they have promotion and they're educated that this is a great next career step, then after that they can join the university specialized program in that. That's one thing. And second thing which again, companies can do is more of this employer branding and promoting from business perspective, additionally to internships, but later for more experienced experts, why it's a great place to work in a particular company. As we know, and we heard in previous panels as well, that we have great experts, but we're not so great at marketing, promoting, communicating, and going more vocal and external, talking about how great place of work we have, and what are the career opportunities or development opportunities within the businesses.
Yeah, exactly. There is still a place to really show also our people how they can flourish within existing companies, or at least within existing ecosystem.
I would like to add a little bit to what Inga said, because our company works, I mean, we're based in Lithuania. We have also entity in Latvia, but the most extensive experience is in Lithuania. So we have seen plenty of good examples. As we talked before in previous panels that, you know, we are in competition, right, with other Baltic countries. But I think it's not only about competition, but we have plenty to learn from. We have actually good examples what have been done in industries, in related industries, to solve different problems. And one of the solutions, what we saw actually in Lithuania, is where 4 large players, not on the semiconductor industry, but very related industry, they actually came together to one table, talked about what kind of talent they're lacking. They specifically found out, you know, that there is lack of specific talent, what's needed for all of the companies, you know, and they work closely with university, specific university in Kaunas, to develop a program who would develop those particular specialists for all of those companies. So I think it's very important that industry players get involved heavily. They also talk to each other. They understand. I mean, because currently we're speaking, we don't know what are the skill gaps. we can talk about the lack of STEM specialists, right? But we can't directly say, okay, so we're lacking this specialist. So I think there is a research to be done, talking with all of the industry players to actually understand what type of specialists currently we are lacking, and what are the solutions. Let's say bringing the professor, creating university programs. So there are options currently.
I actually want to add also to that the employer branding, I think, was one of the things that was mentioned. And now preparing for this panel, I was reading and I found a research by McKinsey, which is actually global, not about Latvia. But they're saying that the prestige, like the image of the industry of the semiconductor production, is actually much lower than some other tech industries, which is like straight to end consumer technologies, more on the software development side. And these professions seem to be much more attractive in the minds of potential applicants, that they are more fun jobs, more exciting, they are better paid. That's the perception that is there. And I don't know, I didn't have a research in Latvia about that, and specifically in semiconductor industry, but if I'm just thinking as an average citizen, like about the production or software development, I imagine that many people would think rather the same. Yeah, so it is a lot about employer branding, and we at ERDA, that's one of our specialities. We develop employer branding strategies for the companies. Based on our knowledge, I'm sure that on the one hand, it can be an effort, but by different single players. But I very much agree with what Eva says, that changing the image of a profession or professions in this situation is actually a joint effort by several companies. One standalone player will not change that. So this is something also to consider, how we promote this profession as a prestigious profession for the future.
Yeah, and I think it's about collaboration, about making partnerships, and really being like doing efforts for one reason. Okay, I also remember that we discussed about potential bringing some experts here and building some competency transfer programs, and maybe I think, yeah, Inga, you have some experience on that.
Yeah, as Pedersen Partners, we work globally, and we help companies here in Latvia to attract, of course, local talent, but also bring in talent from other countries, or when in other countries clients require talent and they say, well, in Central Eastern Europe, people are well educated, and we would love to search and attract talent from there. Then we help, of course, businesses as well. What we have seen that, for example, for businesses in Latvia, when we discuss with the client and notice that across Baltics there is not such a talent, for example, in electronics manufacturing, close to semiconductor industry as well. Businesses, one of key demands has been R&D leaders, R&D experts, so to attract from other countries. Then when startups scale to scale-ups, it's operations leaders who have deep experience in particular industry. For example, recently that was turnkey manufacturing space where we looked for the talent. Or as Lev mentioned, and I think Svetlana mentioned as well previously, it's commercial talent or commercial skills for business development. So have been lacking in Latvia and in Baltics. So when we search for the talents globally and try to attract to Latvia, one of the challenge questions is, why would these experts move or relocate to Latvia? So we have discussed that we have to make Latvia as greater location or place or known place. Why would people move here? And here, of course, governments and related institutions could help with promoting Latvia, and also, as well ensuring smoother transition, like Matis mentioned before, opportunity of filling the forms in in English rather than in Latvian language, or details that are within the process that actually makes it difficult for people to move, but also in bigger scale, like information about tax system and comparison, or how to manage that the person can keep their pension funds in whatever Germany or France, and when moving to Latvia, how it's managed, or how to help family move as well, and how to make sure that they know it's a safe place here in Latvia, relatively safe place, and where the kids can go to kindergarten or to school. So the system around moving the experts to Latvia. And of course, I'm sure we will touch upon that slightly later as well, but rewards, compensation, how developed that is or not in Latvia in comparison with bigger companies abroad, that we shouldn't focus just on base salary, but reward system as such, what experts abroad are used to, like company shares or other things and other benefits.
Yeah. I would like to add, actually, today I did a little research. I went on Google and I typed in work in Latvia. So I think fourth from the top was a comment. Latvia is considered a low-income country with a lot of inequality and poverty. So imagine if somebody researching Latvia as a potential country to go to, I guess it's not a very pleasant information to come across. I think it's what you said about advertising country, right? I think it's a very good idea, but I think it would be a waste of funds if we would to advertise Latvia all around the world. So I think what we have to do, and I think we can learn in this particular case from Lithuania, is that there is a specific case study where the industry, with the government organization, which is under Invest Lithuania, it's called Work in Lithuania. They've come together with industry players to identify what kind of skill set is lacking in Lithuania. Afterwards, they do a research on a worldwide level. They discover countries where these type of professionals are produced. And I'm not talking here about Europe, because as you said, in Europe, in most cases, the income levels are higher, and it's quite hard to attract those people by promising them something they don't already have. So in this case, they're focusing on countries in South America, in Asia, in other parts of the world, where people lack certain things that we have. They do a research on culture, on habits of the people, and they go out with a very targeted advertising approach in order to offer those people what they don't have in their home country. This is, I think, one of the best, one of good approaches we can think about learning, because we need a targeted approach. We need specific people from the countries where those people are produced.
And we return back and back that we need this focused approach, and we really need to know in which niche we go, in which skills we need, and where we can find them, and what we can offer better. So it's really a lot of homework still to do. I think we should now turn to the question about how can we make Latvia an attractive destination. Maybe we still have some ideas, and especially I think we have to cover this compensation and motivational issue still.
Yeah, probably I'll start here, as we have searched recently, especially in industrial manufacturing space, for the candidates across Europe, and we looked at other continents as well. And in comparison, we see that, for example, when we start the conversation with a client who says, I have particular need, say R&D manager or operations manager, we discuss the requirements, and then we discuss the budget for the role. And from experience, we advise the client that we should look a little bit more wider or more flexible, as it's not just, as I mentioned, base salary, but usually additional bonuses or benefits that people having this role has. Then, of course, we start a search, and we can compare country by country, mapping the experts in these countries. What are the skill sets, experiences, and compensation packages as well. So I think what we could do better is of course, companies are doing that, but from governmental side as well, put the list together of recommendations that to share with either semiconductor industry companies or anyway manufacturing companies that for particular roles, these are kind of global standards that are advised or that are recommended to have a look at. Have a look at base salary, company shares if there are such opportunity, then performance pay, any other benefits. So create a list of possible kind of items in compensation package so that we can be better educated. What else is possible and what else other experts are having in other countries, so that we as employers can be better educated when we are deciding to hire expert from some other region, from some other company or country.
Yeah, and I think what is even more important that there is also clear like what is impact on the company who is employing this expert outside on taxes, on maybe some also like bureaucratic paperwork, etc. And it should be already clear package and support in all these aspects. Eva.
Yes, maybe I can add a little bit to what Inga said. We have also searched for people abroad, for the clients of ours, and I think we talked about this before. You said you don't have that experience, but we do. It's related to relocation packages, and what we've seen quite often for clients in Latvia who are searching experts from abroad, that relocation packages offered are very basic. Right. So and if we look at the people, let's say, living abroad in Europe, and they have to bring families, they have to bring children. So those relocation packages have to really be extensive in order to be interesting for people moving to Latvia. And this is not the case in many cases. I do believe that maybe if you're searching for the executive level people in the company, that might be the case. But searching for specialists or experts in certain area, we don't observe it. And I think that's also one of the problems. Also, I think what is quite important is support in settling down. It's not just relocation support, but actually a support system for a new family who has moved to Latvia. We have also brought back quite few expats, Latvian people living abroad, and talking to those people, they really do quite openly say that even though they are Latvians, sometimes the spouse is from whatever country, they do have quite large problems settling down, settling in, understanding the system, understanding the school system, having access to the schools, sometimes kindergarten and so on. So I think it's a broader things that we have to think about.
Yes, exactly. And this, when we talk about relocation and this family-friendly approach by the employers, it's extremely important. I think the pandemics brought the understanding of what deep connections means for all of us, and like remote work gave us many of us absolutely different perspective on where and how we want to socialize. And that's why actually the companies are struggling still, finding their remote solutions. Should I have it a must to bring people back to the office so that they socialize here and have the information here? But also for us, the private individuals, it is very important for me that I can have a dinner with my daughter, which I find extremely valuable thing. Nowadays, because I tried it, I tested it, and it gives meaning to me. So this shift it has happened already, and companies, when they hire someone and they say, okay, this is you were saying, I guess, that's your ticket, and then you can buy tickets for your family if you want to bring them in. That doesn't work anymore. When I'm coming in, I'm bringing my social baggage, I'm bringing my social ties, and this is something that we need to shift the thinking about as employers in general. But another thing is if we are talking about the government support, and many said like what kind of support is needed, maybe when we identify those professions or those skills which are especially needed for Latvia to develop the semiconductor industry further. Maybe we need special immigration programs that are lighter, like Canada did. I don't know if they do it now, but it was like every year it was announced, yeah, who they are ready to bring in with much easier conditions. Yeah, maybe Latvia can do the same.
Yeah, we talked quite much about bringing in from other countries, and I also heard, and it's painful that also our nationality people who are abroad still struggle with the same issues, so we have to consider also that. And what I see is that, of course, it's not only about bringing here, but also integrating in our companies, in our culture, not I mean national culture, but especially also in companies. And as I work quite extensively with organizational culture research and change, then I see that there's a lot of problems, especially for companies who are maybe even for startups at some point might be easier to make this culture attractive and innovative and dynamic enough. But some companies who are with longer history, it's not so easy actually to change and also to integrate other people from outside, like with different cultural habits and etc. So it's also one issue what is worth to consider. Yeah. Okay. I think that we have popped up quite many issues. For some, we found some also solutions or shared some best practice what we have observed. I think there's a lot of work. There is needed also government support, especially in attracting and keeping and maintaining talent. And let's bring together all our efforts and start to do something in this way. Thank you very much. And
to conclude, I am not sure if this is on. Semiconductors?
Maybe mine is still
Hi.
on.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so to conclude, I want to give my sincere thanks to all the panel speakers, all the participants, all the people who came here. Everyone, thank you very much for being a part of the first, hopefully of many panel discussions for the semiconductor supply chain industry, and you are at the forefront at something large. And yes, firstly, I would like to thank all of the speakers for the event, for coming out and preparing and doing the research about the industry itself. And also, I would like to thank our partners, Ministry of Economics, Investment and Development Agency, Latvian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Riga Technical University. And to kind of bring this whole event to a close, we will be using the thoughts, ideas, recommendations provided by all the panelists and even more. And we will be creating a recommendation list and also an activity plan that will be then submitted to Ministry of Economics for evaluation, so we can actually bring everyone together and actually make some steps happen and bring the whole industry forward. And with that, I want to sincerely thank you for coming out. And that is the conclusion of our panel discussions today. Have a nice weekend.